Welcome and welcome back. You're watching Kiara's Luxe Life, where I bring you all things fun, beauty, luxury, lifestyle, and especially on Wednesdays, which is my series Real World, where I bring you all things that are happening, hot topics that are happening in the world that affect both you and me. So everybody is on strike. Yo, I don't know what to say. So first things first, got the iPad out, so I'm going to be throwing up some clips to share with you guys, because the first thing we're going to talk about is the writer's strike, right? The writer's strike actually started back, I believe it was the beginning of May, like the 2nd of May this year. And that is WGA and SAG-AFTRA. So that has been going on for quite a bit. And with the writer's strike, I think we're starting to see some of the content that we normally see on TV change a slight bit. We're seeing maybe a bit more reruns. We're also seeing, other ways that some of the creators or some of the support staff, right? Because the support staff may not necessarily be on strike, but they're needed, they need their content creators, their actors, their, the individuals within the unions to be able to make content. So the videographers and the makeup artists and the other people in the mix, so they have work. If those folks aren't working, then the other support staff, the individuals, they play a vital role too. So I did see that some of those individuals, like painters, different individuals who have different skill sets, where they've stepped out and said, hey, you know what, I'll paint a mural for you for X number of dollars, or I'll go to lunch with you for X number of dollars, or we'll do like a virtual dinner date kind of deal, X number of dollars kind of situation. And what was supposed to happen was all of the funds collected in there was supposed to be able to go forward to support health insurance and other benefits for the other support staff, for the other individuals that were affected. And I think that's a great idea, because at the end of the day, you have other content creators, you have other opportunities that's going on out here where, if they're not going to be working in that capacity, they can perhaps, apply themselves and work in a different way. So I think that is a cool spin on being able to showcase their creativity in a different way. Now, more specifically with the writer's strike, we have seen some controversy in this past week. Now, first things first, Drew Barrymore. So Drew Barrymore actually came out, she did an Instagram video, and the Instagram video was actually an apology. And in the apology was basically saying, she apologized to those who she felt that she, disrespected or hurt in a particular way, that wasn't her intention. She would definitely wanted to come back and return with her show. And I want to say her show is a bit newer as compared to some of the others, and she's kind of saying, hey, I want to do a show. I want to move forward with what she had going on. However, she now sees perhaps it wasn't perceived that way. Interestingly enough, I thought she would press on with it, similarly as Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson has had a show for quite a bit. I think her show is cool. I've not seen the Drew Barrymore show. I have seen the Jennifer Hudson show. And the guest stars, other things going on too. And it's a tit for tat, because since there aren't as many shows and as many things going on right now, it could be a great opportunity, a great time for, if someone does have a show, where they may be able to get guests and get other people on the show, where as if the other guest stars had 50 other offers to go a bunch of different places. That's not the case right now. So it's an interesting time able to do a show and announce that you're returning at such and such a date. And I think that's where things kind of went awry. Maybe perhaps if it wasn't announced, I don't know. It's almost like it's bad if you do it, it's bad if you don't do something, because same thing, they also have support staff too, and those individuals need to be able to work to be able to put food on their table for their family. So it's a sticky kind of wicket. But I also saw Bill Maher. He also ended up coming back later on and pausing what he did announce is supposed to be the return for his show. I believe that's the real return for his show as well. So we're kind of starting to see a trend here with that particular scenario as it pertains to the writer's strike. Now, Sherri Shepherd. So if you don't recall, Sherri Shepherd actually ended up taking on Wendy Williams' spot as far as like her time spot. Wendy Williams had a show for a number of years, and that did end up absolving. Sherri Shepherd guest starred in that show for a period of time, and then they ended up offering her own show in that time slot space. So Sherri Shepherd came back, and she is continuing pressing on with her show. Now, when that came up, she didn't pull out, and the reason she listed that she didn't pull out was because the writers for her show are not a part of the same group or entity as the folks on strike. So she said, hey, I support you. I stand in solidarity with you guys, but I'm not affected in this particular way. So it will be very interesting to see this season, to see what she's got going on and see what's what. We perhaps see some new people on the show that maybe we wouldn't have necessarily seen before. So definitely stay tuned for that. Now, the other entity that is also on strike picketing this week is Ford and GM. So Ford and GM, of course, everybody knows them, huge organization. They have had enough. A lot of entities or individuals have done interviews and expressing, when they necessarily had their last raise or increase with benefits, further support, so on and so forth. And they're not having it. They're not having it. So here we are. We're inside of a week still with that particular strike. However, Goldman Sachs has actually done an analysis, and in their analysis, they estimate that each week that the strike is going on, GM is expected to lose $100 to $125 million in revenue. That's a hell of a piggy bank, y'all. I don't know what to say about that, because it's like on one side, of course, you have the folks on strike. They can't be on strike forever, but also you're losing a lot in negotiations with that. Now, interestingly enough, in this past few days, GM Canada extension also came and said, you know what? Let's look at our benefits package. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what GM can offer us. If not, we gonna be out there. We're going to be out there too. Like, there ain't nobody playing no games. Inflation is high. Gas prices are increasing as well. Food is absolutely out of this world. We've got the migrant crisis coming on. Potential government shutdown also happening end of the month. Student loans coming back into the mix also end of the month as well. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts right now. And people are saying, you know what, looking at the bottom, the bottom line, and the dollar is not stretching like it used to. So GM Canada extension, they came back and said, you know what, we need to come to the table and figure something out. They said by such and such a date, such and such a time, if we don't, we're gonna be out there too, like how they doing it in the US. And they cut a deal. So I've actually been searching. I've not seen that deal yet. I would kind of like to peek at it to see what's what and to see if it was similarly situated to what they're seeking here with the year-over-year increases in annual salary. But what they ended up coming back was saying, hey, you know what? We pitched it. They came back. They were willing to work with us. They came up with an offer that was quite substantive, and they agreed to it, and they're pressing on. They're working. So it'll be interesting to see how long this strike goes on. And also, if it does continue to move, are we, how soon will it be before we start seeing impact as a consumer? Of course, there are different brands you can go to, but ultimately, if you were looking to get a new vehicle, or if you were looking to go electric, or if you were looking to, re-up, if you have a lease that's ending soon and you're looking to do something different, are you going to keep that lease now? Are you not going to get that newer vehicle? Are you going to hold off? Are you going to leave, GM and go to maybe a competitor brand that you weren't necessarily considering before? What's the dynamic? Are you going to hold out and hopefully by the time they get out, cut a deal and they go back to work? Because keep in mind, let's say this goes on 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. The longer that goes on too, when people eventually do start going back to work, hopefully once they reach a deal, it's not going to be, boom, 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 here's your car. There's going to be a lot of backlog. There's going to be people who order vehicles, people who had, waiting on parts and other stuff going on. All of that back order stuff has to get done first before the new stuff got to come through. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I'm interested to see what they will come up with. And ultimately, if those folks don't, if there's going to be a period of time, I know some of those on strike came up and they mentioned, you know what, we planned for this. We prepared for this. This wasn't, a snapshot decision. So I think they're in it for the long haul, definitely interested to see. I think across the board, everybody deserves equal pay and fairness. And there often is a quite disparate difference between those at the tippy top, of the scale, the CEO and those other folks, to those, hands-on actually, making the line move. And at the end of the day, I think sometimes those folks at the tippy top forget that if you don't have hands-on making things move, I'm out of business. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think a lot of them come to that consensus. So definitely let me know your thoughts. Comment down below what you thought on today's video, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.